Good luck, Sheikh. Is there any questions from the brothers here or the brothers online? We'll try to take 3 to 5, inshallah. That's possible.
Inshallah, question from online.
Further.
Initial is BN from Cleveland, Ohio, USA. My relatives are Christians. Sometimes when my family and I are visiting, they pray out loud. They do not respect our religious differences. What should we do?
Questions come from Cleveland, Ohio, with regards to non-Muslim relatives who come and visit, or you visit them, or you interact with them, and they pray out loud, and they don't respect your religious ideals and values, etc. What should we do? Well, it depends on the relative. Your mother, who's a Christian or Baptist, is not like a second or third cousin, or a distant uncle or distant aunt. Your father, your brother. So it depends on the relative, all right? Also, it depends on what type of religion they have. Someone from Ahlul Kitab is not necessarily like someone who's a Buddhist, or someone who's an atheist, who worships the ancestors, etc. Also, it depends on what you mean by they don't respect your religion. Just because they pray Allah doesn't mean they don't respect your religion. Doesn't necessarily mean that. Your grandmother may respect you, but she's a Christian. And she says, hallelujah, Allah, or oh Jesus, help me, something falls. Or she sees a mouse in the kitchen. She screams, says, good Jesus, or something like this. Right? It doesn't mean that she disrespects your religion, or she don't judge you. She believes in what she believes in. All right? But as far as if you mean that they're trying to mock Islam, or mock you, or make fun of you, then that's a different story. Oftentimes, when you're walking down the street or driving in a car or on a plane, you come across non-Muslims, whether they're Jews or Christians, specifically Christians, and if you notice, oftentimes they'll mention Jesus' name or they'll say something just because they see you. They see you dressed in a certain way, they see you trying to practice Islam, then they'll say something about, thank the Lord, or something like this. And oftentimes, it's because they feel insecure. They feel insecure that you're following and you're trying to do something and they're just Sunday Christians at best, if that, right? Everyone understand this? Jumu'ah to you is a holy day. The Eid is a holy day. And the Christmas to them is a holiday. Get drunk, eat, buy clothes, and give gifts to them. So they get upset and they get jealous when they see you oftentimes. Everyone ever experienced this? He wasn't talking about Jesus the whole time until he saw you. Everyone understand this? Or Jews in New York City. You see a Jewish person, Orthodox Jew or Hasidic or whatever, they're not bothering anyone. They see you and they look at you a certain way. They feel a certain way. Everyone understand? So it doesn't necessarily mean they're disrespecting your religion, but they may be jealous or envious. As far as if they are disrespecting your religion, then try your best to minimize your mixing with them. Especially if they're a distant family member, like I just said. The amount of patience that you're going to have for your mother or grandmother is not like a distant cousin. Everyone understand this? Someone who's barely a family member. It's a difference. It's a difference between the two. A relative, a distant relative. You know that they're relatives as well. But there is a what? There's a difference. Everyone understand this? Try to give them dawah if you can. Explain to them. The average person is ignorant and following the way of his or her forefathers. The average person. They don't know what's going on. They're just following the flow of things. So maybe you can sit down and talk to them, explain to them. Maybe you may have to be patient upon some of their ignorance, and some of their stupidity, some of their rudeness, and maybe even some of their mockery, if you have the ability to defeat them with knowledge, with wisdom, with common sense. Think about how you used to be, how strange it sounded the first time you heard about it. Even as a Muslim, the first time you heard about the Sunnah, the first time you heard about this, when someone asked you to lift up your pants, what you used to say? I'm not lifting up nothing. I ain't cutting nothing. I ain't wearing no what? High waters. Everyone understand this? I ain't cutting my Guess jeans, right? Now look, you feel naked if you walk outside with your pants beneath your ankles. But when you first heard about it, you might have not been too accepting of it. A beard. Now look. So just think about how you used to be, as Allah tells us in the Quran. How that you used to be like this. So that's be mindful. As far as if a person is an ignorant, tyrannical, mushrik, or Christian, or whatever, they don't want to hear nothing, they want to make fun of you and mock you, then leave them alone. Turn away from them. And limit your dealings with them to the necessary mandatory tayammums. And if you have the ability to regulate the situation, that is what you should do. I'm going to come, I'm going to do this, I'll fix the air conditioner, I'll come say hi to the family. Don't bring up religion. Don't say anything about me, don't disrespect me. You understand this? Hopefully we can agree on that. And Allah Azza wa Jalla surely knows best.
And this was Hanad S, Ottawa, Canada. Assalamu alaikum, Mufti. May Allah bless you. Is it permissible to pray in a chapel where there are statues and images?
Questions coming from Canada. Is it permissible to pray in a chapel where there are statues and images? Imam al-Bukhari, rahimahullah, he mentions in his Sahih the ruling of praying in a bi'ah, the ruling of praying in a temple or place of worship of other than Muslims. And he mentions some of the athar, such as that of Umar radiallahu anhu or Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma, with regards to offering prayer in these places, except for places that have tamathil, statues. And one narration says a surah, whether it means image, picture, 2D or 3D. Everyone understand this? Whether it's a sculpted image or actual painting. That's a long discussion. What's important is praying in a chapel or a synagogue or a place like this that has statues and idols and these images should be avoided. If it doesn't have those things, then it's not necessarily haram. It isn't necessarily haram. As far as if you're in a hospital and there's a prayer room, right? A spiritual room in which they have the 12 candle holders, right? They have this, they have that, prayer rugs, they have a Muslim book of dhikr nafis, right? Supplications, full of weak supplications, right? In the room. It's not wrong praying in that place with the same conditions that we just explained. And if you have to pray in that place, then try your best to turn away from them, cover them up, or whatever you can to avoid them. And Allah Azza wa Jalla knows best. Any questions from the brothers here? Photo.
Initials OA from Famagusta, North Cyprus. Assalamu alaikum, Mufti. Can I go to the prayer room, which is in a building just besides my place of stay, instead of the masjid, which is about a 10-minute walk away?
Question comes from Famagusta, Cyprus. Going to a prayer room that's next to you or next to your dorm or your house or whatever, instead of going to the masjid, that's a 10-minute walk. Going to the masjid, according to the correct view among the ulama of Islam, Allah knows best, it's difference of opinion. Going to the masjid is obligatory and mandatory for men who are healthy and live in a relative close proximity of the masjid. A woman doesn't have to go to the masjid. Sick don't have to go to the masjid. It's extremely cold, extremely hot, a dangerous animal or something outside, don't have to go to the masjid. Or the masjid is far away, even though you hear the speaker, or you have the app on your phone or your iPad or tablet. But if you live in a proximity which is relatively close, you would normally hear the adhan in natural circumstances without planes and trucks and highways, then you have to go to the masjid. So if it's a 10-minute walk, ask yourself the question, a distance of 10 minutes walking in a moderate pace, would you normally hear this? Hear that? That motorcycle or that engine? That excludes the natural circumstance. If it was a blackout, it would be much quieter. Like when you go to the woods, you hear the crickets and things like this. It's scary and creepy because it's so what? So quiet. And the insects are what? Extremely loud. You hear the owl hooting at nighttime, maybe a wolf, depending on where you are. Because it's so what? It's so quiet. But the city hounds,
Black bears.
It's black bears.
Sasquatch.
Allah knows best. Sasquatch, It's a very deep history about Sasquatch. You'd be shocked. At the end of the day, it's so quiet, it's not like what's here? The city, the static, the noise, the electricity, it's not the same. So you have to estimate. 10 minutes away walking, would you normally hear the adhan if it was a blackout? A 10-minute walk? Or is that too far? If you feel that you would normally hear the adhan, you can't pray at that prayer room. Go to the what? Masjid. As far as if it's too far, but you can walk there, but you wouldn't normally hear the adhan, then pray in a prayer room. The correct view, and Allah knows best, is that Salat al-Jama'ah if you have the ability to make it in the masjid, it should be done in the masjid, not in your room or your shop. Even though that's Jama'ah, 2 people, 3 people, 4 people. The correct view is that if you have the distance to walk to the masjid, it's not too far, the Jama'ah is there. As Abdullah bin Mas'ud radiallahu ta'ala anhu said in Sahih Muslim. And Allah knows best.
Initials OA from Famagusta, North Cyprus. What is the ruling on learning and reciting in different maqamat of the Quran?
Question comes from Famagusta, North Cyprus. The ruling on reciting and learning different maqamats of the Quran. It depends on what you mean by maqam or maqamat. Do you mean dialects, qira'at, warsh, hafs, this, that? That's one thing. That's not an issue of discussion among the people of knowledge. As far as if you mean doing some type of made up way of reciting and singing and stopping and praising and clapping and moving back and forth, Allah Akbar, that's something different. Next question.
Initials AK from Toronto, Ontario. Assalamu alaikum Shaykh Mufti, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala preserve you. What is the best way to explain to someone that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is most worthy of our worship?
Question comes from Canada, Toronto. The best way to explain to someone that Allah Azza wa Jalla is most worthy of our worship. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Look at your fingertips. Use your smartphone. Unlock your smartphone, right? With your fingertip. Biometrics, right? Your face. It's the best way to explain why Allah is worthy of your worship. Now, how all of us in this room have a different fingertip. Different. It's amazing. Everything the laws gives, how sensitive the finger is. Everyone understand this? How dynamic the fingertip is. If you burn it, if you scratch it, if you cut it, you get a cut. The cut starts healing. Your finger is super itchy and scratchy. It's a reason behind that. The body is dynamic. This is one of the reasons why Allah Azza wa Jalla is deserving of your worship for everything that He has given you. For Allah Azza wa Jalla, and everything is a sign that proves He's one. Azza wa Jalla. And the list goes on. The whole room, you look around, all of the stuff Allah gave you, your eyes, your ears, your heart, your skin, food, drink. Why can it? And Allah knows best. Fadal.
Yesterday you mentioned about Imam Al-Layth ibn Sa'd, rahimahullah. And my question is with regards to, you said that many people said that he was on the level of Malik, or maybe even better. However, his students didn't retain what it was that he taught. So my thing is, like, I don't understand how it is that during that time when they're so engrossed in knowledge, yet, you know, like, someone who is high as Layth, and yet the students, they're supposed to, you know, implement what the teacher is teaching and to be on a high level as well, yet they fell short. So what can we do in order to not be in a position like that, where we would, you know, implement what it is that our teachers are teaching us?
Question says, with regards to last night's class, you mentioned that Imam Layth ibn Sa'd, rahimahullah, was a contemporary of Imam Malik, rahimahullah. And Layth ibn Sa'd was either an equal or better than Imam Malik, with regards to knowledge and virtue and ilm, etc. However, Layth, his legacy did not survive. It did not stand up to the test of time. He did not have a school and followers and disciples like Malik, because his students, they forsook him. They abandoned him. They didn't fulfill his legacy, etc. How is this and how can this be? And what can we do today for this not to happen to us? And for us to implement and act and etc. carry on the baton. First and foremost is, ذَلِكَ فَضْلُ اللَّهِ يُؤْتِيهِ مَنْ يَشَاءُ. That's Allah's bounty. He gives it to whom He wills. Allah Azza wa Jal, fadla, yani He gives preference to one person over another. It's what He wills. This one, his name survives. This one, his name doesn't survive. His madhab exists and his madhab is extinct, except in the books. It is scattered. وَقَالَ اللَّيْثِ وَبِهِ يَقُولُ لَيْثِ وَهُوَ مَذْهَبُ لَيْثِ. It's not like Malik. People from Morocco, people from Mali, people from this country, from that country, right? Malik. I don't understand this. Muwatta. That's That's Allah's bounty. He gives it to what? Whom He wills. Subhanallah. That's first and foremost. Secondly is that, just look at it. I mean, how many restaurants there are that make food, that deliver food, that offer cuisine, huh? But you may say, my grandmother can cook what? Much better, not better. 10 times better than that stuff. That stuff is trash compared to my grandmother. Her cherry pie, her apple pie, right? Or any other dish, pineapple upside down cake, whatever it is. Lie. He's sticking with the asab tonight, I would say. Everyone understand this? The point is that what? Just because someone has a name and a chain of restaurants doesn't mean that they have the best food. It doesn't mean they're the most talented cook. Doesn't mean that. Some people have different aspirations, different ambitions. Some people have financial contribution. Some people are supported. The people they supported this cook so he can only become famous. And in most professions, if not all of them, you'll find this. How many people know about Tesla? And how many people know about who? Edison. On your bill, does it say Nikola Tesla? It says what? Con Edison. Who invented it first? AC, DC. Everyone understand this? He was funded, he was supported, he took this person's side, they betrayed him. What happened? It happens. It what? It happens. There are different scholars who have problems with the government. There are different scholars who were supported by the government. That's why the method became so popular in this country, because it was the standardized method of the empire. So there are many, many reasons, and in any aspect of life you'll find he succeeds and he what? Doesn't. Even though he beat him to it, or he was even better than him. It just doesn't work out like that. There are many more ingredients to successful legacy than just pure talent. Sports. He's actually a better player than him, but he was injured. Or he didn't have a good team. Who was the best running back in NFL history? Many people they'll say who? Barry Sanders. It's a debate. It's a debate. But many people would say what? Or one of the most dangerous, not the most dangerous running back is what? Barry Sanders. How many Super Bowls did he win? None. We ain't dealing no poetry tonight. Everyone understand this? How many Super Bowls did David Smith win? Everyone understand this? It's much more than just one individual effort. You get the point I'm trying to make? So that you have to take those things into context. Islam is no different. As far as what can we do today to prevent this and to stop this, and for us not to fall into this, we can learn from history. Learn from history, right? And avoid the mistakes of the people who made them in the past. And that's why many of the Salaf would say, إِنَّ السَّعِيدَ لَمَنْ وُعِدَ بِغَيْرِهِ. They say the happy man is the one who takes lessons from other men. That's the happy person, is that you learn from others. And the wretched or the wretch is the one who's made a lesson for others. You understand this statement? You learn from somebody else. You're happy. Someone learns from your blunder, your mistake. It's wretchedness. So we read these stories. This one did this imam did that. He dropped out. He didn't study. We should try our best to what? Avoid those mistakes. Learn and live and learn. Okay? So if I have a class, or if I have classes, or if I have talent, if I'm young, if I'm strong, if I'm smart, let me use it right now. Let me not waste myself. Let me do something, because it clearly happened to what? Fulan. He became a victim of dunya. He became a victim of women. He became a victim of this group and of this one and that one. So let me avoid that. Bidnai ta'ala. And yani, the last thing I'll say is that not only is it a benefit for you, but it's a debt that you owe your teacher, who taught you and took out the time to open up the door for you and show you the way, which he didn't have to, or she didn't have to. It is the teacher's haqq upon you to pay zakat on that. And from the zakat that you pay, is to carry on the what? The legacy. As we say, expand the chamber. And not just carry it on, but do what? That's no question. Enhance it. And branch off and serve it. And that's what happened to Malik and those other imams. How many statements did Imam Malik actually make? He didn't talk about every single issue, but that's a method. They branched off his way of thinking. What's the rule on eating dog meat? Did Imam Malik talk about that or not? But they took how Imam Malik would have answered the question, his usul, and they branched it off. And they differed and they wrote books. So it's a debt. And this is one of the things that we learned when we graduated and left Medina, is that you're in debt to Medina. You're in debt to the college. You don't have an option. You didn't get all of these rials and this prestige and living in the Prophet's city, in the Prophet's masjid every day for free. You have a debt that you have to pay off, and we're paying off to this day that we owe. So there's anyone that teaches you knowledge, and that's why the wise man once said, "Man allamani harfan, kuntu lahu abdan." He says, anyone who teaches me one letter, I'll be his eternal servant. He teaches me one harf, one basic thing from knowledge, I'll be his what? Eternal servant. Let alone if someone teaches you a jumla, a sentence. If someone teaches you a paragraph, it's like a book, books. How much more do you have to serve and carry on that legacy? And that's the true way of loving, following, and respecting the ulama. That's the true way. That's the true legacy of the ulama, of Sheikh al-Albani, of this one, and of Bin Baz, and of that's their true way of loving them and respecting them, is to do what? Carrying on their legacy. And Allah knows best.
Ottawa, Canada. Assalamu alaikum, Mufti. May Allah bless you. Can you please explain the hadith narrated by Humayd al-Himiri, where it states that it's impermissible to comb the hair daily?
This will be our last question, Bid'Allah Ta'ala, with regards to the impermissibility of combing one's hair daily. First and foremost is, the first thing that has to be done is the hadith has to be affirmed that it's authentic. We have to affirm that it is authentic. Obviously, the ulama will view it as authentic, but if you're dealing with the situation critically, ثَبَّتْ عَرْشَكَ ثُمَّ انْقُشْ. The Arabs, they say, ثَبَّتْ عَرْشَكَ ثُمَّ انْقُشْ. They say, bolster your throne, then decorate it. Solidify your seat, then what? Paint it. So you have to make sure that the hadith is sahih. That's number one. Number two is, the ulama of Islam, they say, is that the Muslim, no matter how handsome or how dapper he or she or he is never ever to lose the true warrior spirit. He's never to lose the true warrior spirit. So when you look nice and you're handsome and you're properly dressed and you're dapper, you never lose the mentality of what? Of ruggedness. And that it can go down anytime, any place. It's reality. So if that's manifested in you not combing your hair every day, if that's manifested in you carrying some type of weapon, if that's manifested in your jacket or your boots, if that's manifested in how you defend yourself and hold your hands, even though you're wearing a suit or you're wearing a dress, but you always have that what? That warrior spirit of defense, stopping aggression of the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the dunya is temporary. And even though it's permissible for us to look nice, and it's permissible for us to be presentable and handsome, we are never as men to be too nice and too pretty and too handsome. And there's never a time in which you're supposed to have 101% soft and pretty and dapper. You have to have some percentage of what? Grit with you. Everyone understand this Islam? This is what the ulama of Islam say. And from that, or from the manifestations of that, is some of them say not to comb the hair what? Every day. In other words, be a little what? A little rugged every now and then. Obviously, this hadith, among many other hadiths, is like water and oil with the total modern world today. And the modern understanding of Islam today. And what a man is supposed to look like and be like today. Pedicure, manicure, get your face done, this done, that done, this, the kullu shay. That's not absolutely in accordance with this what? Hadith. Even when you look nice and you're color coordinated, I would say you still what? Just a little bit. Everyone understand this? And this is how the older people were back in the day. Everyone understand this? So this is what this hadith means. And there are other manifestations of it as well. Not to grease yourself every day. Not to comb your hair every day. To have a little bit of what? Ruggedness. And the best thing is what Umar radiallahu anhu is quoted to have said, "Ikhshawshinu فَإِنَّ النِّعْمَ لَا تَدُومُ." He says, be rugged and rough and tough, because the favors never remain forever. The good times never what? They may last for a long time, but what? Not all of the time. You have a nice, expensive, luxurious car that could break down. It's cold outside. Put on your jacket. Do what you got to do with the tire or the engine. You have to walk to the gas station, right? Your phone isn't working anymore. You got to figure out the GPS in your head. Main examples you could think about like this. Hand to hand. There's no weapons in this place. What do you want to do? You got to be what? So this is the mentality of the mujahid, the Muslim. all situations, all times, and all places, no matter what the situation may be. Everyone understand this? And Allah Azza wa Jalla surely knows best. Wa sallallahu sallam wa barak ala abdihi wa rasulihi nabiyina wa imamina Muhammad.
In the video called Disciple Seasons, you mentioned Hadith Chronicles.
Okay.
Right? And said, inshallah, that's also going to come out. Is that already out or?
Question about Hadith Chronicles, even though we said as a last question. Bidnillahi ta'ala, the Hadith Chronicles will come out. Whether it's while I'm alive or what, after I go. Inshallah. Allah's name be what?